Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitbadger.com, out here to bring you another gear review, and today, talking lasers. This one right here, which is the Steiner OTAL Class 1 laser. We'll go ahead and start with the what? OTAL. It's an acronym. Offset Tactical Aiming Laser. This being a Class 1 infrared. What does Class 1 infrared mean? Well, it emits in the infrared spectrum, so it's invisible to the eye. So the Class 1 basically means it's putting out 0.7 milliwatts of power versus a military one, which is about 5 milliwatts. What does that mean? Basically, since this is in the infrared spectrum, there's no blink reflex. So if this gets shined in your eye, you don't know to blink or look away. So keeping it at a lower power, less damage to the eye versus like 5 milliwatts, you can burn out people's eye pretty quick with that full power laser because, yeah, there's no blink reflex. People turn away. Again, though, this is infrared, so basically just usable with night vision under nods. And that's how I've used it. Initially used this setup at a one-day introduction to night vision course by Coy Valdar Incorporated. Did an awesome job there. Getting to get a lot of reps with it, basically at night, working through a number of different drills, whether it's transitions or just moving back and forth, transitioning between targets, and yeah, getting some good reps. Since then, put in a number of more hours with it at night, going through shoot house, and yeah, getting some time in with it. Who do I think this laser would be good for? Honestly, someone probably getting into night vision on a budget. It is pretty plain, pretty vanilla, but it's rugged and it works. This laser will push out easily to 100, 200 yards. Makes it easy to get those hits, so long as you can target ID out that far. And yeah, it's pretty plain. You have a infrared laser and that's it. There's no visible component. There's also no illumination. So depending on where you're going to be using this, maybe a really dark structure or just really dark nights with no external illumination, you may need to supplement that. So to that end, I was using this Surefire M600 Vampire, I believe it is. Basically, you can toggle the head back and forth between visible or IR. So if it's really dark, I can go ahead and turn that on, activate that IR light, and then activate my laser to go ahead and get hits. As far as the unit itself, there's no button on here. So you either are using a pressure pad, you can move the switch to momentary and use your pressure pad, momentary activation, or you just move it all the way over to on and it is constant on. Again, kind of vanilla, but it definitely does work. One of my favorite things, honestly, about the OTAL is the offset. So this being, honestly, a pretty small little compact package, your offset from your bore basically up and to the right is pretty minimal, especially compared to some night vision units. And what that does is, whether you're running a parallel zero or a converging zero, parallel meaning this is basically staying just to the right of the bullet trajectory to infinity, or converging where basically the path of the barrel essentially ends up intersecting at whatever it may be, 100, 200 yards with the laser. So pros and cons to both those, but where I'm going with all this is this offset is fairly minimal, especially some units that sit higher or even further off one side or the other. Where does that come into play? Well, it makes it easier for you, the shooter, trying to figure out your offsets, especially working relatively close, maybe working indoors, shooting, and being able to take low probability shots with a high chance of success because you actually know what your offset is. And that, depending on what you're doing, can be really, really important. The unit measures approximately 3 inches by about 2.5 inches by about 3/4 inches thick. Right here is the cap for the battery. Runs on one AA battery. Continuous use, you're going to get about 5 hours out of it. And the housing itself is made out of aircraft grade aluminum, 6061 T6, and waterproof to approximately 3 meters. In addition to that, the unit itself weighs just under 5 ounces and has both your elevation and your windage adjustments on the side of the housing. If you're looking for a OTAL, usually be had around $550. Is that expensive? I don't know. Once you get into night vision, pretty much everything's expensive. I will say, I think it's a pretty solid budget option if you're looking for just vanilla infrared laser. You may or may not, depending on how you're using it, have to supplement it with some sort of supplemental infrared illuminator, but this will absolutely get you in the game. Nice, small, compact package, especially depending on what the gun is that you're going to be putting it on. So, depending on your needs, this might fit the bill. And if you appreciate my content and want to support it, greatly appreciate it. Whether it's just liking and sharing videos or going over to kitbadger.com, picking up KBAT target pads, stickers, patches, things like that, or supporting me directly through Patreon, really appreciate it. It helps me go out, create more content for you guys. And if you have questions for me, probably not going to answer them down in the comments section. You can get a hold of me over on Patreon. We have a really active Discord over there. Happy to answer all of your questions. In addition to that, over on Patreon, usually you get first access to videos as well as some special content. But as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.